Alright, so here we have a bayan. I figure since there's a little bit of a newfound interest in the States here about this instrument, I'll make a little video explaining some things about this instrument, how it works, and maybe a little bit how to play it. It's a family of accordions. There's an obvious difference here between this kind of instrument and the piano accordion. There's no piano keys. Otherwise, that was the idea when they made this. It's a chromatic accordion, also known as chromatic or button accordion, because it has buttons. There are different kinds of chromatic accordions. Put a little link in the description to tell you a little bit about history, how they came about, and what the differences are. This particular instrument is made in Russia at the Jupiter factory. It says Jupiter right here in Russian, in Moscow. And it's considered actually one of the most advanced chromatic accordions out there for professional use. This one has a B system as referred to the keyboard layout, just the way the buttons are arranged. And the B system chromatic accordions are also known as bayans, hence the name bayan. There are a bunch of differences with chromatic accordion with the B system and then a bayan with the B system. Bayan was designed in Russia. They improved on the chromatic accordion there in, I think, 1907 or something like that. And among the things, there's the keyboard itself. It's positioned slightly forward, not at the back of the instrument. Allows for more of a ergonomic play. Also, the important difference is the sound. The reeds are tuned for pure sound instead of tremolo, which is found in most accordions. Western accordions, when you press a button, the sound will actually vibrate slightly, all by itself. Now, bayans are tuned for pure sound, which makes them an instrument of preference for classical music performers. This one's a very heavy instrument, weighs 36 pounds, so you're not going to find too many people standing up while playing it. Alright, so here how that works. We have left hand here, right hand, bellows in the middle. The sound is produced by left hand moving the bellows. The bellows, the air then runs through the reeds, produces the sound. The little buttons open the valves, open and close for the air to come out through the reeds. Very basic setup. The left hand is responsible for all the dynamics, the volume as well. So if we go pull harder, sound gets louder and softer and so on. Back and forth, the same idea. Responsible for accents or any other kind of dynamics that you may find in the music. So all that happens with the bellows with the left hand action. A lot of questions about the bayan is about its keyboard. People say, oh, that doesn't make any sense. Just a bunch of buttons. Looks like a typewriter. Looks like somebody just threw a bunch of buttons at the instrument. There's actually a rhyme and reason to it. The opposite is true. The bayan is keyboard is very well thought out and designed specifically for performing complex classical music. Alright, so I'm going to grab this older instrument that has a simpler keyboard, only 3 rows, which is all you need to play bayan. This is a standard 3 rows that it comes with. A little bit easier to understand. The rows are not only arranged vertically, as obvious here. Row 1 on the outside, 2 in the middle, and 3 closer to bellows. They're also arranged diagonally, like this. So when you put your fingers on the buttons with your elbow slightly raised, the fingers automatically go on the diagonal row. Alright, now if you just move your fingers along the diagonal row from the bellows to the outside, like so, and then you shift down to the lower row, and then one more, and just continue doing so. What we do, essentially what we have here is as if we were running our hand along the keyboard of the piano, from left to right, hitting every white and black button along the way. Or also similar if you were running your hand along the neck of the guitar, as you just go along the string from top to bottom. Chromatic score is another name for that. Normally when you first learn to play the bayan, you play with just 4 fingers. The 3 fingers, we'll just assign them basically to each row. This would be 1. We'll be working on this row. 2 would be on this one, and then this finger on this row. The thumb is usually just held behind the keyboard, pretty much for orientation, just kind of stabilize the hand a little bit. Now later at advanced levels, play with all 5 fingers is encouraged, and that's what the professional bayan players do. Alright, so here's a good picture of the keyboard. You can ignore the 2 rows that are a light shade color, the row 4 and 5. Those are optional, and they're not really needed to learn to play the instrument. So again, I put my fingers on the diagonal row. I'm going to play the little chromatic score here, starting with C. This is C right here, starts in the 3rd row. And we'll continue with our assigned fingers to each row. That would be C, that would be C hard or D soft, followed by D. And then we'll switch down to the next diagonal row. Continue on with a D hard or E soft. Becomes a white one, of course it's E, F. And then we'll switch to the lower row again, going with the F hard or G soft. Here's your G, white, and here's G hard, A soft. Again, switch to the lower row, we got A hard, or B soft, and of course B, and so on whenever we reach the C again. Alright, and again I'll do it a little slower so you could follow on the diagram here. Here we go. Alright, now we do the same exact thing, except for in this case we skip the black buttons along the way. So again, we go diagonally, row after row, and we skip the black buttons. And of course we get A, we skip this one. I'm sorry, we get C, we get C, skip this one, so we arrive to D, we come down the row, and we skip the black one, so we end up at E, F, come down the row, we skip the black one again, we go to G, skip the black one, go to the next row, A, B, and again we arrive to C. Alright, that's how that works, real simple. And that was our C major score, and since C starts in the 3rd row, the same sequence, if you would just memorize the sequence of which buttons you press, which ones you skip, it becomes kind of just walking your hand down along the side of the keyboard. And you, once you memorize that, you don't have to start with C. You can start with A right here. This was C, this is A. And you just play the same exact sequence. You don't even have to think of which buttons you're pressing. And you have your A major score. Now that works for all the keys on the that start from the 3rd row. The minor score would also, you have to memorize that one, and the same for the middle row. Once you learn the major score from the middle row, for let's say for G for example, then you can do it for E, and you can do it for same thing for the for example, here's the D minor. D's right here on the 1st row. Alright, and now we can just do it from B, same exact sequence. So it always automatically sets up your proper notes. You don't have to think about it once you have your sequence memorized. Now the same thing goes for the chords. This is our C major chord. There's C, E, G. Let's C again. Alright, so now if you wanted to play the same chord, now once you memorize this position, you want to play the A major, all you do is just shift your hand. There's your A major, okay? Again, C and A. Now this is a C minor chord. And again, all you have to do is shift your hand if you want to play it off of A. Your A minor chord. Alright. This is your D major and D minor. Of course we can play it off of F if we wanted to, just by simply moving our hand down the keyboard. Makes things kind of simple and easy. Now, another thing you'll notice is that the octave is very easily reached on the bayan keyboard. From C to C you can easily reach with just a couple of fingers. Now that allows you to actually reach, you can go into across 2 octaves. That's kind of a stretch, but in extreme cases you can go as far as 3 octaves apart and still be able to play very, very complex music. This also allows us to combine organ music, like box music, from you take the left hand, the normal organ left and right, combining to one hand. Quite a stretch, but it's possible to play very complex stuff with just one hand on the bayan. And back to this model, we have 5 rows here. As I mentioned earlier, the row 4 and 5 are optional, and they're simply here as repeats of row 1 and 2. So all the buttons you see here on row 1 are then repeated on row 4. Same exact sound, same exact valves they open. In fact, the buttons you can see even move, and the same thing with row 2. You can see the row 5 buttons. They're just repeats to allow for better hand position. Sometimes you might be out of position to play something real fast and you don't have time to switch your hand to these 2 rows, so you'll be able to play it up here. Just expands the keyboard so much more. It gives you better finger position opportunities. Also, you can see that inside of these, on this instrument now, we have registers. These switches here are also known as stops in the organ. What they do is actually they switch voices. This bayan, in most professional models, will have 4 voices. What that means is every time you press a button, there's actually valve opens, and in this case there's 2 valves. I'll show you a picture here. There's a valve on the front here under this grill, and there's a valve in the back also opens. 2 valves open from one key, and they expose little holes. Okay, now each valve up here and here exposes 2 holes. Okay, so it's a total of 4 holes that it can expose. Now each hole has a reed in it. It blows air through the reed in this case, and each reed is tuned out of those 4 to 4 different instruments. Okay, those are 4 different instruments, and through selection of these switches we can select which of the holes will actually open when the valve raises, which of the holes will allow the air to breathe through it, allowing us to play that particular instrument or combination of instruments as selected here. Alright, so we have 4 instruments, and when we're talking instruments, which instruments are we talking about? Well, the first one is the clarinet. That's the little symbol. They have little dots on them. You just basically memorize what those mean, and that's a symbol for clarinet. And that's what it looks like. Then the second one we have is Concertina. That's the symbol for that, just the opposite of the other one. Let me just press that. We also have Piccolo, which is just a small flute. And on top here we have bassoon, okay, which is a very low sounding instrument. So those are the 4 instruments. We have clarinet, concertina. Concertina was designed in I think 1800 somewhere in England, and then of course piccolo and bassoon. So if I want to play C, for example, let's do it this way. This is clarinet. You can just see all I'm doing is switching instrument while holding the key. This is your concertina. A little different sound. There's your piccolo, and of course the bassoon. All right. All I'm doing is pressing one button, and 4 instruments are playing that I select. Alright, so when they designed bayan in 1907, they had to pick a sound of what the reeds on this instrument going to sound like, and they picked a combination of clarinet and concertina, and that's what this sound sounds like. The clarinet has a very kind of a soft, deeper sound, and then concertina has more of a vivid, kind of a happy sound. So they decided this would be the sound for the bayan, the combination of those 2. And the reeds in this instrument, every one of these buttons just opens single valve. In fact, I've been fixing this so much you can actually almost see the valves in there, but I don't know if you can see, but they're moving inside there. By the way, very easy to fix. Just some super glue and it goes. Anyways, this instrument is tuned to play just one instrument, and it's bayan, or known as combination of clarinet and Concertina. Now I'll switch to this one. And here we have same exact thing. We can play in Clarinet, we can play in Concertina, but we can also combine them. With this button you can see these two now playing together, or which is known as a bayan, true original bayan sound. So this would be it. Okay, now through combining these different instruments, we can achieve different combinations of other instruments. For example, if we combine Clarinet and Piccolo, which would be right here, Clarinet, Piccolo, we get oboe sound. Alright, or similar to it. It's not exactly oboe, but it's similar to it. Or by combining Piccolo and bassoon, we'll get an organ sound, or again, similar to it. Alright, so there's 14 different combinations that you can select out of 4 voices, and well, there's actually 15 registers, so the 15th one would be all of them playing together, right there, also known as tutti, which is Italian for all together. Organs have a usually foot button called tutti, which is just opens all the stops and makes organ sound at its fullest. And that's exactly what this does here. All 4 sound together. Very rich, very powerful sound comes out of this instrument. Alright, now here's an interesting thing about Piccolo and bassoon, because Piccolo has very high range. It goes pretty far high. We have, by selecting Piccolo, we're actually extending our physical keyboard limit by another octave. And you can play very, very high-pitched music. And I think right here after A hard, that's as high as it goes. From here it just kind of repeats again what it did an octave higher. But this is already pretty high. And by selecting bassoon right here, we're actually shifting our keyboard 1 octave lower, and allows us to play deeper into the lower range. That's about as far as it goes. It goes up to E. Alright, so overall, by selecting those 2 instruments, we can extend our keyboard all the way to 8 octaves, which is pretty remarkable for the instrument of this size. Alright, we also have 7 buttons on top of the instrument here, and the registers as well. They're the most popular of the 15 registers we have available on the side. They're just carried up here with the little rod connections that when you press them up here, they'll actually move down below. And all they are is just the repeats of the 15. That allows the performer to hit these buttons with their chin, which allows for fast switching without disturbing the hand, and for quick play. Some of the more advanced models will have what's called programmable switches, and all it is just they have adjustable rods that they can open up the instrument and adjust them to the which switch will affect which register, depending on their performance and the music that they play. Alright, now to the left hand, bayan has very similar keyboard to the almost identical to the any accordion, including a piano accordion. And what we have here is 6 rows, 6 standard rows, counting from here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 vertically. Again, they are arranged diagonally, just like you saw on the right hand. There's a little diagonal you can see almost. Alright, arranged on the angle here. And white buttons and black buttons, just like you had here, except for they arranged in more of a grouped setting here. White, black, black. Now, the first 2 rows are your bass notes, or roots of the chords that you will be playing. And the row 2 is considered the main row, while row 1, closer to bellows, is considered the secondary. Row 3, 4, 5, and 6 are your chords, and more on that in a minute. Since you cannot see this hand at all from the position where you're playing, there are some indentations here. For example, C, located here, is marked with a little hole, and it's easy to find during quick jumps and also when you're first learning the patterns and learning the music. Alright, so let's see, the way they arrange the white notes here, just zoom in a little, you can see. The white notes are arranged kind of awkward if you think about it first. C being right here, second from the bottom of the whites, followed by D right here, and then E. So you see how I skip one, and then F. Here's G. A is right here, and then B. Again, we can come back to C. And I said that's kind of awkward. Why would they do that? They skip a button. It seems like your hand is spread out and you have to think kind of backwards in this one. What they actually did is they put the same exact row as you see here, white buttons. They offset it here on the secondary row. And it's exactly the same order. So what that does is it allows you to play the same exact buttons on the top without actually going to the top, because the top is here. And this is what happens. Okay. That makes things a lot easier, as you can see. Alright, so now it is very important to memorize the order in which these white keys are located. Starting from the bottom, we have F, C, G, D, A, E, and B. And it is important to memorize them not only on the way up, but also on the way down, what they are. And the reason it's important because the black keys are arranged in exactly the same order. So once you know this order, it's easy to find your black keys. Alright, so we have B up here, and that's B soft. Then we have E up here, and that's E soft. The next one we have A, as we're heading down, and that would make this A soft. Then we have D, and we have D soft. Then we have G, which is right here, and G soft. Now we can keep going with this, and you can see the next one is C in our order, and the pattern continues. C, and that's C soft. Well, why is C soft white? Well, because C soft also happens to be B, and that's true. That's exactly the same sound. Same is true for F. F. So F soft will be right here. And again, F soft just happens to be a E. So this is the same exact sound. That's why it's white, as the E would be up here. All right. Now we go with the hards, and for the hards, to find the hard tunes, hard notes, we have to go from the bottom up. Again, following our order. This being F. So if this is F, then this has to be F. The black one. Now, interesting thing is, these black keyboards are exactly identical, top or bottom. So if we wanted to start from the bottom of the here, it's also hard F. Same exact sound. Comes the C. That means the second black would be C. And again, it's true for both sides. As long as we start from the bottom, this would be C hard. Alright? Here's your G. And again, the third button is G. Hard. And that's C on the bottom as well. Hard. G. Alright. And now we have D. Right here, D. And the same pattern continues. You can see what's happening, right? All these buttons are the same. So now you can see that all of these are just backed up. The patterns are just backed up in different locations to allow for better hand positioning. So if we press C right here, it's exactly the same C if we would press it here, or if we press it here. And if we press E, it's the same exact E as it is here, or same exact E as it is here. If we press G hard or A soft, it's the same exact G hard, A soft here, and here, and here. Now when it comes to playing just like a C major score, again, it's just a pattern that once you memorize for major or minor, it all starts from the same. It's really easy because there's only one row, so once you memorize the pattern, the major, you can start it from any other key. For example, here's D major. Start it from here. Same exact pattern, just follow it. You don't even have to think. And all the black-white keys are pressed automatically as required. Now we'll go to the chords, and chords are very easy to understand. That's why it's called accordion, because the chords in this instrument are pre-made. And sometimes this keyboard, this system known as ready chord, because the chords are already made. We'll start with a C, and the chords are located diagonally on row 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we'll press the first row after the root note, after C, would be the major chord. That's a C major. When you press that, depending on the model, you might press just the 3 keys. You'll press G, E, and C automatically through the mechanical linkage. It'll open those valves. If you have a more advanced model, sometimes they'll have registers where you can select G, E, and C of different octaves, so you have more fuller sound for the chords. And this one doesn't have those registers, but you can select how many actually G, E, and C's one button will press, and which octaves to create more fuller sound. The same thing with basses, by the way. They'll have switches on the inside here, which will allow you to play not just C from this octave, but to C an octave higher or C 2 octaves higher, simply by pressing one button. Creates more of a deep bass and more of like an organ sound, where they would skip an octave and play multiple C's in different octaves. And also you can program it with the switches where it would be 2 C's playing in unison on the same octave, making it a lot more powerful bass. And that's what I have set up on the other instrument. The bass is actually almost too powerful in that instrument. So again, this is C major. The next row would be off of C, would be C minor. And in this case we're pressing, with one button we're pressing G, E soft, and C. And then we continue on to the 7th chord, 7th dominant. The last one would be 7th diminished. Again, it's off of C. The same exact pattern continues for all of these. So if you want to do that off of E, there's major, minor, 7th, and 7th diminished. Alright, so another thing I want to show you are the intervals, popular intervals that I usually use during the play with the left hand on the piano. Again, this is C, and to find our one of the popular intervals will be a major third. Major third for C is E, and it's located right there. It's really easy to find from root note. You can find a major third right there, and you can play a chord off of the C using the major third interval. There's the major chord, minor chord. Okay, another popular would be the minor third, and for C it would be E soft. Usually reached for the pinky. Alright, so that's how that would sound, the minor off of C using the minor third. Okay, we also have our perfect fourth would be located just below the root note. So this is C, this would be the F, and it's perfect fourth. Again, a chord off of the C And again, the perfect fifth would be located just above, and in our case it's G. Very popular setup for a lot of music. And then we have our major sixth located on the secondary row, but just below. And our major seventh is just above. So you can see how things are located here. Same works. I got a diagram here you can look at. Just same exact deal off of E. So once you memorize that pattern, which one's located where, you can very easily adjust that to any root note and then play chords off of that. Just any one you want, okay? And let's see, that's about it for the ready setup. Now on this advanced model, you can see that all of the left-hand buttons are white. And the reason they did that is by the time you play on this instrument, you don't really need to pick your head around and look at what you're pressing. You already know your setups, and you can. It also makes for a clean, for performing instrument. It looks a lot cleaner that way. They are, however, marked still, and see if I can zoom in and show you. The C again is marked with indentation, and E right here is marked with those raised dots right here. Also, G hard is marked right here with another indentation, and G hard on the bottom would be marked with the dots again, or A soft, either way. And it's interesting to note that C is located just on the edge, almost on the edge, one button from the edge of the white keyboard, and then E is located one button from the edge of the white keyboard as well, normally on the colored keyboard. So it's easy to find your white buttons. And also A soft or G hard, which is the same exact thing, located in the center of the black keyboard. Usually there's only two up and two down from it, so it's easy to orient where you're at. Now, by the way, I didn't mention it earlier, I don't think. The keys on the right hand are also marked. Your C is marked, and I'll see if I can zoom in and show you. That's the standard markings. C is marked. There's those raised dots. If I can come in a little closer, you can almost see them right there. And every C would be marked the same way on the right keyboard as well. So it's easier to find. And when you see guys looking down, performing extremely fast music or something real complex, they're normally not looking down at the keyboard. They're looking down, period. They're usually looking at their foot, or they're looking at something on the floor. They're in the zone. It looks like they might be looking down at the keyboard. When you see guys performing, professional bayan players, they don't look anymore. They play by feel. And these markings are there just to find buttons initially when you place your hand on the instrument, or during long jumps, and also while you're learning. They will peak occasionally when they switch registers, or when they make big jumps, but normally during fast play nobody looks at the keyboard. Alright, well, another really nice feature of the bayan or many other chromatic accordions, they have what's called a converter, and there's this long button right here, a long switch that I can press once. I pressed it twice there, but it's one switch. And what it does essentially is it converts this. Now it's called a free bass system, and what that does, it converts the outer three rows, on 0, 1 now, 2 and 3 in this case. It makes them identical to the three main rows that we have on the right hand, except for upside down. And you might say, well, why is it upside down? That's kind of awkward. One's right side up, one's upside down. It's not really, because if you take your hands like this as you're playing and you rotate them this way, it becomes like a piano. If you would break piano in two and put it sideways, one would be upside down, one would be the right side up. And that's exactly what's happening here. Now, there are no markings as far as black or white, even on the bass model that I have for the free system, just like it is here. It is assumed that you know your layout by then. Playing on free system is somewhat of advanced playing, and so people just learn that completely by feel, because you cannot see left hand. There are some markings again to assist you. There's C marked on every on the third row. There is also E marked right here, and there's also G hard or A soft marked on the just like we had on the second row of basses. Same exact buttons are marked for orientation purposes. And starting with C, this is C right here, and I'm just going to play it just like I played with the right hand. Diagonally, you hit every button along the way, and that's your chromatic score, and so on. And then by skipping, just like it is, we just same pattern but upside down. Okay, and here's your major chord, your minor chord. All right. Same exact keyboard. It takes a while to learn, but once you do learn to play with the left hand, same as the right, you can. This opens a tremendous amount of opportunities as far as classical music. You can play basically two instruments in one. They're identical sound. This goes through entire range of buttons here. As it gets as low as the right hand, and goes all the way up to the top here. So the range is huge. This button here is just empty. There's nothing, and it's used for bringing your bellows back together. If you finish with bellows open, which normally shouldn't happen, but sometimes happens, and just to make no sound. You can also just press a lot of buttons and move bellows, and the reeds just don't get a chance to play, so that's another way of achieving the same effect. So the converter basically flips it back to ready chords, or makes it into its own instrument. Alright, and mine's a little tight. Yet this instrument's only about 2 months old, so it needs to be broken in. That's about it. All I can show you about the bayan. You can pick one up on eBay if you're interested in playing one. I think they sell for a couple $100 for a really banged up one, and you really don't need much out of it. It's as long as the reeds are not broken and they produce the sound. If they're bent or the little tongues on them broken, then that's it. You have to replace the reeds, and that can be pretty challenging. But otherwise, everything can be fixed on those base models with just some super glue and duct tape. So, this instrument like this Jupiter, $10,000–$15,000. Takes about a year to order it from the factory. They're handmade. It takes about a year to make, and there's a waiting list for that as well. There are also Italian manufacturers that make specifically bayans, not just chromatic accordions, but they do make bayans now. They tune the reeds a little differently than this one, and sometimes the reeds can be actually interchanged during the ordering phase. When you order an instrument, you can order reeds from a different manufacturer to be put on the different instrument altogether. So they can be pretty much customized for what the performer intends to do with it. That's about it. I'll put some links in the description about the instrument and other things, and I hope this was educational. Thanks for watching.